Cameras on.
$41,476.33.
That's what I got.
Is that what you got?
I can do the math in my head.
We're ready.
Gentlemen, if you would, excuse me, I'm going to call the village board meeting to order. Today is Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. or 6:01. Would you please rise to the pledge of allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Brad, would you please do a roll call and open meeting compliance?
President Shu.
Here.
Trustee Pecca.
Here.
Trustee Finch is excused. Trustee Newman.
Here.
Trustee Millies.
Here.
This meeting was noticed and posted according to law.
I'm going to read a possible closed session notice, consideration, and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.85(1)(c), considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation over any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically DPW employees, and Wisconsin State Statute 19.85(1)(e), deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties and investing of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session. Specifically, the center bridge operative purchases. Included in closed session will be the members of the village board and the administrator clerk. This will require a roll call vote, and no decisions will be made in closed session. I will turn to the public, which we only have two very good-looking deputy sheriffs here. Gentlemen, do you have any public comments? There are none. We'll move on to our regular business. We have, the first matter is the county board did increase the fee that they assess the village, $2 per dog. And the question is, I know Brad's got all the material, you saw the resolution from the county board, you saw all the background information. And the question to the village board now is, do you want to amend our resolution to reflect increasing the dog licenses that we collect $2, or do you want to eat that cost?
I want to increase it.
Okay, so then what we'll do for the next...
Did you notice next year it's going up, I think, $3, and the year after that's proposed $5?
No, they talked, there was talk original.
One thing it showed projections, so I wasn't sure if that's what they approved or
No,
not.
if you look at the county board resolution,
No,
they
yeah.
just did the $2.
Yeah, they were talking about potentially $5, but they came back to $2.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should eat that cost. I think we should pass it.
Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll get anytime we do a fee increase, we have to do it by resolution. The only thing, Brad, is I know all department heads are supposed to get a copy of the fee schedule for 2020-25, and I know Vince wants to make some changes. So remind me, we got to print that off.
Do we need to increase it by $1? How's our costs for the processing of all this? Is that taking up more time, or we should add $1 fee for help cover our expense?
I don't think it's justified, but that's just my opinion.
I don't know how much time that involves one of the clerks to be doing all that, and
The amount of time we spend on it hasn't changed significantly since we've gotten, since I've been the last decade, or
The only thing that has changed substantially, because this has been the same price for years, is postage. If we have to mail it out, which we have quite a few that have to be mailed out, there's a lot of people that come in.
can we change the resolution to say that if we have to mail it out, we want our expenses covered or something?
I mean, if you charge,
That's what I was just saying, is we
Because
add a
it's not
dollar
just-
onto it. Right.
it's not just a straight, well, you know what, I'll have Brad, weigh the, cause you usually weigh the license and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that has gone up substantially over the years, cause our fees haven't changed for,
It's
25
$2.
years. Okay. We'll get that information to you, and we might have to do a resolution early, so that when Brad, because he sends the dog license out in the tax bills, just to get that, and then we'll have to amend it again, because I know any fee increases we have to do by resolution, so
Well, figure too how much the clerks' wages have increased and, just our operating costs have increased over time, I can see where you can say, well, we gotta raise it $1 or $2 or something. I'm not trying to do much, I just wanna cover
our cost.
yeah, and not be going
Everything's going
backwards with
free.
it. Yeah.
It's not like people have 80 dogs, it's not gonna be a.
Right. Okay. Brad, you don't need a motion on that, do you?
No, if you guys are gonna bring it back through resolution, that's
Yeah, we'll
fine.
do it next. Does that sound good? All right, gentlemen. The next agenda item is, the McGonigal School District has asked if they can do another presentation on their referendum. That's gonna be on the November 5th ballot. If you go to the McGonigal Area School District website, you can see all that information. But they requested to come and do a presentation, and I always leave that to the board for the board's opinion or discussion. And if you do decide to do it, we do their presentation right at the very beginning of the meeting.
I don't think it'll hurt anything.
I think it's good to have it on YouTube then for the public to see it.
And it's just information. We'll do the disclaimer that we're not taking any opinion, we're just doing it as an informational piece to our residents and anybody that,
We did it last time.
right, we did. Okay. Was there, could I have a motion to that effect that
I'll make
we,
that motion.
and is there a second? Second by trustee, Becca. Motion was made by trustee, Newman. Any discussion on the motion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I promised Tina that the next agenda item is a request from, a resident's request to list community events in the Vernon View. And Tina would have been here, except her husband had a very bad motorcycle accident. And thank God, by the grace of God, he's still with us, but Tina's at the hospital with her husband. So I did promise I'd read it, and it goes like this. These are the facts from 2020-22. She said the zip codes for Big Bend and Waukesha, 53103 and 53189, have 11,958 households. 5,349 of these households are age 60 and older. Over 50% of these people are not on social media. Several months ago, I reached out to the village about placing an ad with an informational ad about an upcoming event for the Big Bend Vernon Lions Club. As a community, I assume nonprofits would be allowed to display such as an ad as our chicken barbecue held in February. This is one of the largest fundraisers, with 100% of our money going directly back into our community. For example, in April of 2022, the Big Bend Vernon Lions Club donated $4,500 to the Village Park and Rec for team sponsorships and sports equipment. It's time for our community newsletter to be a community newsletter. There's nothing about the Vernon View that gives a feeling of the united community. Remember, over 50% of our residents are not on social media. The website contains no current information, thereby requiring an informational newsletter is imperative. Events that benefit the community should be allowed to be posted in the newsletter. Excuse me. The Lions Chicken Barbecue will have its 50th year event next year. It should be promoted at no cost because it's for the benefit of the community we live in. This also includes our local festivals. It's also imperative that our village have a place where a candidate's information is listed. This information can be basic just as basic as listing what the position they're running for and the person's phone and email information. In 2022, I could not find anything about candidates. Ultimately, one candidate was endorsed through one of the political parties, while another was passing out copies of his information by mailbox. The candidates deserve to have basic information posted at what levels the candidates deserve to have some basic information posted that levels the playing field on most basic level. I also think that they should be listed on the website. A timely informational newsletter is important for our community. Without this, you'll continue to anger residents that feel repeatedly left out. Thank you for your time and consideration. So, I did want to tell the board that I did look at some of the municipalities that have our same law firm. And we do have a policy on advertising, which is good, because what John always worried about if somebody places an ad, he wanted the board to have some type of policy, which I think was done in 2014. I think Brad put the minutes when it was adopted. But her request goes to the actual content of the newsletter. And I know the Village of Richfield is one of Macy's clients. And if you look at their newsletter, they do things, you know, of that effect. I personally, I don't have any problem, not just, I mean, I wouldn't have any problem advertising that event or things that are happening in the community. I mean, in December, I know that's a busy time, and a lot of communities have, like, Christmas parades and special events. I don't know if that's something that you'd like to look at yourselves. If you go to My Community online, you can see a lot of different newsletters. In the previous email, Tina talked about the Village of Rochester, which is not one of John's clients. And they have a whole policy listed on, you know, what they put in their newsletter. I don't know if it's something that the board would like to do their own research and look into what other communities do, or do you have a feeling on what you'd like to do?
I'm not opposed to it. My only concern is we leave it so open-ended, like nonprofits. Every church in the area is going to ask us to put something in there, and before you know it, if there's not going to be room for the ads, then help us pay for it. Considering we make that deal with LPI.
Yeah, well, this wouldn't be for an ad. This is for the content. You know how we write the newsletter, and
yep.
And I'm sure she understands it's a community newsletter, so the community would take precedent on voting information. I mean, the information that we'd like to get to our residents, I mean, should be a priority, because the Vernon, even though it is a community newsletter, the intent was to give as much information about what was happening in the town and now village. But I mean, she does make a good point about the fact that, and I'm not just singling out the Lions Club, because the Moose Lodge does things for the different communities and invites people. I mean, I think the only thing Macy always was worried about is if you get an organization that, you know, wasn't one that's looked upon, I don't know how to say it correctly, an organization that would like to place an ad for their Ku Klux Klan, you know, event. Not that I'd say that would happen, but that was one of the things that John said is, you know.
No, I'm kind of against opening it up. I'm afraid it could be, where do you stop? All of a sudden you're letting one group in, next group, what about us, you know? But now in the newsletter, if one of us wanted to write an article and mention a few things happening, you know, I can see that taking place. But to have a dedicated what's happening, I'm not in favor of it.
Because if you let
You
one,
gotta talk into your microphone.
in a way, I'm not in favor of it, because if you have let one in, and then you have to let everybody in.
And I don't think I'd even have anything against having the political issue in. The newspapers do that all the time. It's just standard questions they ask and they put it in the newspaper, but a lot of people,
You know, a lot of it's timing too, you know, when our newsletter's coming out,
Yeah, they'll come out.
all of a sudden it comes out the week after the event, and they're all mad at you, 'cause you didn't get it out soon
right,
enough, but,
right. Yeah,
yeah, I get to see a lot more problems with it than benefits.
Jake?
Well, the only thing I think is if, you know, we put it in there for free, you know, put it in there for free, it wouldn't be fair to the people who pay to do their advertising, because they're paying us to put it in there.
Yeah. And
Most
that's
of the
a,
people are for-profit organizations that are
That's
paying
it.
right now, but there's a lot of nonprofits in our area too.
Right.
But I like Jeff's idea. I mean, one of us could always write a newsletter if asked, or an article, I guess, for it.
and board members are always welcome, you know, if they, you know, even if it's a small article, hi, my name is, you know, just introduce, maybe we could do that in the next newsletter, at least let people know, you know, who you are and how long you've been here, what, you know.
It's like I have nothing against those nonprofit
Oh,
groups. They do a lot of good.
yeah, and like I said, Tina can always come back, you know, and if she wants, you know, to talk about it at the next board meeting, but I did promise her I wanted to read that in, and I don't, like I said, I don't think anybody has anything against any organizations, and I know how much the Big Bend Vernon Lions Club does.
She'll probably run for the board position next election, just so she can write the articles.
Well, and one of her, it's not this one, but the other email that she had sent, she did volunteer to, you know, do the newsletter for free because of her, I guess she's, you know, was in the printing business, owned her own printing company, which I thought that most people, when they complain, they don't offer to help, they just like to
Yeah.
complain, so I give her a lot of credit for that. I mean, and we can always, you know, discuss this with her.
We can make a newsletter committee and put our email on it and tell them that they can do it. I don't care.
Sounds good. Well, like I said, the door's always open for Tina, and we can always revisit this again. You know, it'd be nice for her to be involved in the dialect, but at least we planted the seed and welcome Tina to come back at a better time.
Yeah, she can write the newsletter for me, my article.
Right, yeah, give me the framework of what you want.
Find a lot of corrections if I need something.
Yes, she's very good at that. All right, gentlemen, next agenda item is appointments to the Village of Vernon Finance Committee. We never really formally voted, you know, put board members on the Finance Committee, so that was my question. It says the board can put up to 5 members. And my question is, do you all want to be appointed to the Finance Committee? Because we're going to have to meet, for now, in the evenings because of Jay's schedule. Jay, do you want to be on the Finance Committee or not?
Sure, but the only thing is scheduling of the meetings, you know.
Right.
Well, let's first ask, do we have volunteers who want to be on the committee?
Well, Tom Thomasek has been on the committee for 25 years, and he still would be willing to serve. There's another gentleman, he's a financial consultant, he volunteered to be on the committee also. His problem is he's only in town for a couple weeks, and then he's going out of the country for a month, but then he'll be back. He said he'd volunteer then. But the urgency right now is to have that committee formed because we got to get the 2020-25 budget done. I mean, ASAP.
I'm just saying, if we have people willing, I don't have to be on the committee. I can still attend the meetings, just not be.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same, but if nobody else is gonna do it,
We can't get involved.
Because ultimately, we approve the final budget, we'll see
Right.
it, so it's.
Well, I'm not sure about, I think we should reappoint Tom Thomasek
agreed.
Agreed.
to that committee now. And I don't know if you want to wait on Dennis, because he said he'd be willing to give you a list of his portfolio, so you could see his credentials.
We should wait till they come back in town anyway, that way.
Right. But I just need to know at this point, because we have a budget meeting coming up on Thursday, is there any board member that want to be officially appointed? Because I would, at this point, I would put Tom Thomasek, myself, The clerk administrator is always a liaison, but not an appointed member, because the clerk administrator provides all the information.
How many spaces are there on it?
5. So there's 2, so there's 3 more openings.
Yeah, I guess put me on it.
You know, I can do it too, yeah, I was just saying, I don't wanna turn somebody away, yeah.
And I know Gary wanted to be on also, so Jay, would you mind coming if you can?
Yes.
So I'd make a motion at this point to appoint Tom Tomasak, trustee Jeff Millies, trustee Dylan Newman, trustee Gary Finch, and myself to the finance committee. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Is there discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Oh, no, and you did hear me say that the clerk administrator is always the liaison to that committee, because without them, you don't have any information. And the date for the next finance committee was next Thursday at 5:30. You got that one? And then the Center Bridge project, everything's been submitted to the DOT for the bridge project, so once we get their blessing, we got the blessing from the DNR, so we have to get the blessing from the DOT. And then when we go into closed session, we'll talk further about the offers to purchase. Next agenda item is the application for Bobby, how do you pronounce your last name? George?
Sure.
Brad put all that,
That's spelled, that's pronounced Jakes.
was she invited to come to the meeting?
We did not invite her.
Okay. Normally, Brad does, anybody that's got a record, no matter how, insignificant you saw, the attorney gave you the standard language. I did talk to the clerk in the the town of Waterford. I talked to Tina today because she has a valid bartender's license in Waterford. And she said they did a significant background check. She was a cook at the bar that she bartends for now in Waterford, and then became a bartender. They've never had any problem with her, and what she's just trying to do is make herself a better person. So I know typically we have them come in, but I know even the town of Waterford did a pretty substantial background check on her, and they've never had any problems whatsoever.
Has there ever been a community to deny a bartender's license?
Yeah.
It seems like it's pretty hard to tell somebody, no, you can't do that.
You have to be real careful when you do deny,
It's just,
because you don't want to take away somebody's right to,
their livelihood.
right, make a living, and
That's what I'm saying, how do you even tell somebody no?
right, and I think the example she sent in the town of Waterford is a good one. So I would make a motion to approve her application. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion.
If she would have another incident where she'd be convicted of something, can we remove that bartender's license then from
I would defer to our
Attorney.
attorney on that.
As long as there's,
I mean, if you're gonna deny it, you saw the attorney, you have to have a hearing, you can't,
yeah,
you just would,
but I was just wondering if there was a problem.
I mean, I think if they were charged with a criminal offense,
They have to be found guilty.
yeah, but even if they were they were charged with it and they're waiting for trial, they may have a condition of bail or bond that says they're not to be in a location that serves or provides alcohol, so that would be one other thing, but I would defer to the village attorney, and depending on what the offense would be.
I'm pretty sure they take a look at, the probation officers take a look at what their professions are, and,
And Waterford said that they didn't have any issues.
right, and not only did the police department do a study, they also talked with her probationary officer, and her officer said she follows all the rules, she does everything, she's a model person as far as reporting to her officer, and so she sounds like a person that made some mistakes and is trying to make herself better. That's why I
I don't deny anybody's livelihood, it's just.
right.
trying to be cautious to make sure.
You know, we'll put that on the next staff meeting agenda, ask John if someone, and it probably would depend on what they've been accused of, or, because you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah,
And odds, I mean, it's renewed every 2 years, so if something does happen, the time she's found guilty of it, the 2 years probably be almost up for renewal anyway.
yeah, and it would depend on if the alcohol-related crime occurred here in the village, or occurred, somewhere else, would be an impact too, I would think.
Further discussion from the board. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Correspondence, announcements, and reports. I'll turn to the village trustees first. Trustee Pecca, do you have any announcements or reports, or?
Well, we're gonna be having branch drop-off. Check the website for the times, But the only thing I do wanna say, we may have a lot of elderly people dropping yard waste off. I ask that if people please be patient, especially if the line extends out to the road. And I just hope everybody is safe when working in their yards, because a simple fall can send you to the hospital, like a trip with a broken leg, or even tearing like a rotator cuff like myself one time, if you fall. That's all.
Thank you, Jerry. Trustee Newman.
I just wanted to say that Tina's husband is in our prayers, and so are the people affected by the hurricane down south. That's all.
Trustee Millies.
I just found out that September was National Preparedness Month, and it kind of comes in lighting out the hurricane, what they're going through. You never thought a mountainous area would have had flooding damage. So the unexpected can happen. Also, it's hunting season now, it's starting, so if you're hearing gunshots, that's why. No need to panic.
Thank you, Trustee Millies. My report, I'm receiving many phone calls about the village's financial status. I'm sorry to report that the 2025 budget is going to be exceedingly difficult. The Finance Committee will not have audited numbers for the 2020-23 year, because as of Friday, September 27th, 2024, the auditor is requesting missing information that she will need to complete the audit. Also, the committee will not have actual numbers from the 2020-24 budget, because the bank reconciliations have not been completed. Terry Winarski, our treasurer, is doing a fantastic job trying to get the village bank reconciliations completed. And also, I know Brad is trying to get those entries into him as fast as possible. It's my understanding as of Friday, the 27th, is that the date that everything was finally turned in, Brad?
Yeah, right now I'm not aware of any outstanding items.
Okay. And I know Karen is waiting, she was waiting to get all her entries in, so that she can start the auditing, process. I just wanted the board to know that last year, the 2020-22 audit was presented on October 5th of 2023. Another important announcement is that we're going to have a public hearing for unattached accessory dwelling units. The Village Board and Plan Commission will hold a very important public hearing on Wednesday, October 9th at 6 o'clock to hear public comments on the unattached accessory dwelling units. The current village zoning code does allow for attached dwelling units, but the village does not have any language regarding unattached accessory dwelling units. Vince Budiak, the Village of Vernon's building inspector, has about 7 to 8 requests per year for unattached dwelling units from residents who would like to build an accessory unit to care for their aging parents. The Village Board and Plan Commission has spent several meetings discussing proposed language for the public to view and comment on. I know the Village Board and Plan Commission would appreciate your comments on this important zoning amendment. I have attached the comments from Sean Malarkey, our zoning and building planning administrator, for your review. This is in the packet. The planner's final comments are already posted on the village's website under the public comments information. I'd encourage the public to read those draft comments from the Village Board and Plan Commission. And if you cannot attend that public hearing, please send your written comments to Brad Calder, the village clerk administrator, either by email or clerk@villageofvernonwi.org, or you can mail your comments to the Village of Vernon at W249 South 8910 Center Drive, Big Bend 53103, or you can drop your comments off and just have the clerk or the clerk staff date stamp your comments and receive a copy. Also very proud to announce that we have several new sponsors for our newsletter. They're Greenfield Gallery, that's Ralph Hibbert's business up at Heaven City. Bold Heating and Cooling, Road Track and Trail LLC, AM Towing, Somar Enterprises, Dragfly Embroidering, they do a lot for our fire department. Urban Herrings and Sons, First Service Title and Closing, GFB Bespoke Balloons, Nation Roof North, Rochester Deli. And I also wanted to thank our three sponsors that have been in the newsletter. JDM Painting, Triple R Computers is our computer vendor, and Mary Torres from United Healthcare. But I'm very happy that we've gotten additional sponsors for the newsletter. Yes, and Brad, do you have any announcements, correspondence, or?
No, just that our in-person absentee voting starts on the 22nd. People can request mail in absentee ballots currently, and they'll be sent out within a business day to the residents. One of our deputy clerks, her husband's having back surgery on the 22nd, and will be out at least 6 weeks, if not longer. So we'll be having some of our chief poll inspectors help with in-person absentee voting when needed, as our other deputies are close on their WRS hours. And that's all that I have to report out.
I just wanted to announce also that brush drop-off is October 7th through the 19th, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. And there's no drop-off on Sundays, just so that people can put that on their calendars. And it is on the front page of the website. We do not have Waukesha County Sheriff's report at this time, so we'll go into accounts payable. And I had sent my comments to Brad, and everything that I had questions on was, except for the fire department, we're waiting for one receipt for that $57. When you get that, Brad, can you let us know?
Yes.
And Jeff, you caught that 40-cent entry, so while you're looking at everything, I just wanted to report that the new total is $41,476.33.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion. Is there a discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Brad, do you have any manual checks?
No.
Okay. August financial report. I have a lot of questions, but hopefully we can do that at the finance committee. Does anybody have anything they wanted to talk about right now on the August 2020-24 financial statement? Then we're moving into accounts receivable. Brad, I sent an email about so many of these that are over 90 days. Do you know when, has billing gone out recently?
Yep, billing went out today.
Okay, because something the board's gonna have to talk about, if the billing went out today, Brad, we're gonna ask you to run another aging report for the next meeting, because if these people, they really should be getting a letter to
Okay.
tell them if they don't pay, this is going on their tax bill.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right.
We can run an updated one next time, or I can get an updated one next week.
That one was less than $1. We didn't send them a bill, because we paid more in postage than it worked.
Yeah.
It's probably personal property. Yeah, I do, the one that for 35 cents.
Yeah.
I didn't, Brad, do you know if they got a bill?
If they're in there, they would have gotten a bill.
And personal property, you can't put on their, you can't put on their tax bill because, and there is no more personal property for us. I mean, this is the last year, you know.
Kind of embarrassing to send a bill for 35 cents.
I wanted to give Brad the quarter and the dime. Say, keep the penny.
Right now.
But just so the board members know that Brad said that, these went out today, Brad?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll get updated ones to you guys for the next one.
Yeah. Any other questions on accounts receivable? ACH transactions, Brad, I didn't find the December 2023.
Oh, I'll add that one back in.
Next time?
Yep.
And then, what was I gonna say for May? I was gonna ask you about one thing. Does anybody have any questions on, the May Wisconsin was that really for March, is that a typo?
No, that was for March. It might have been for March. Just
Paid in
without.
April? Paid in May,
Yeah, because of how it would have had like an effective date of
okay.
April 30th, and then it
Okay.
hit the bank that way. So that's what it's been.
I would, for the sake of discussion, I make a motion to approve the ACH total for, May of 2024 in the amount of $123,027.36. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. June, the only question I have, Brad, is there's a $21 payment that was made to the Department of Justice, and they're not on the approved ACH list. Is that something you want to put on the next, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and pay it, but that's
Yeah.
one vendor that we should add.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier to pay it that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would make a motion, to include that $21. Is that in your total, Brad, the, 117, the
Yeah,
117?
yeah,
Oh, no,
but-
yeah, it is well, I would make a motion to approve the June ACH, amount in $117,921.76. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Millies. Discussion? Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Brad, the only question I have, which is really odd, in July, there are identical IRS payments and identical state payments, and your payrolls are totally different. Is that a mistake, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been paid, but we'll take a look at that, but I would make a motion, since it's already been paid, to approve the July 2024 ACH amounts at $122,095.84. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Millies, and like I said, Brad and I will talk about that later to see what happened there. Discussion from the board. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. August of 2024. Brett, I know you included the bank drafts for bond payments,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, because I know it wasn't on APs, and that's fine. I mean, and if it's not on the list, let's add that. But on your total, does that include and the 139,283.14, that includes the bond payment? And there was 640, wasn't there a 640, Brad? There were two bond payments, and there was something for, it was the county treasurer. That's the tax payment. So that's already included. So there was the bond payment of $17,796.25 that, Brad, you did include in the $139,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so that you know, we just want to add that to the ACH list, because it's a lot easier to do those that way, isn't it, Brad?
Yeah. Well, that's how. Well, I mean, they're actually they're wires.
Right. It's a lot easier, and cleaner. And so I'd make a motion to approve the August 2024 ACH amount in the amount of $139,283.14. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And Brad, yours is the next agenda, you'll do the.
You'll get December.
Just so we can prove to the auditor that we, did that. Brad, you wanna give an update on the bank recs for 2023, which I assume we're all done?
Yeah, 23 is all done. January was finished today. We'll get working on February here as quick as possible. So Terry can work on that. I know he'll have to look and make sure January's good. If there's any small changes, we'll have those taken care of by Monday, for sure. And we'll get working on February along with the budget.
And, okay, so, and as far as you know, everything that Karen Wolf needs for the audit is all into her, correct, sir?
Yeah, I have not received any follow-up emails from her on items that are needed.
Okay, and then, there's no minutes, and so I'll just make the announcement that we have a Village Board and Plan Commission, meeting on October 9th at 6 p.m. October 17th at 6 p.m. is the next Village Board meeting, and Trick or Treat is on Sunday, October 22nd from 1 to 3. With that, I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session as stated by the village president and printed on the agenda. Is there a motion to that effect? Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Motion was made by trustee Pecca, seconded by trustee Millies. Brad, could you read the roll call vote?
Trustee Millies,
Yes.
Trustee Newman,
Yes.
Trustee Pecca,
Yes.
President Shu.
Yes. Okay, gentlemen, we are in closed session. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Fantastic, President.
You have a good evening, sir.